So we actually live now.
All right, sweet.
Yeah. Okay, back to that PC thing. So you're saying that you actually play games too on PC. What kind of game you actually playing?
Uh, Anything that entertains me. Right now, I'm playing a roguelike game that was made by an indie developer called Hades. Welcome to Hell, I think, is the Steam version of it.
Okay. Welcome to hell.
Yeah, it's you basically play Hades' son, and you're trying to escape Hades, or
Okay.
well, escape the underworld. Yeah, I mean, it's a decent game. I don't know, I've got 200 and something games in my library. It just
Mm-hmm.
depends on what I feel like playing at the time.
Okay.
Or how much he wants to be, or how much he wants
Spend the
to curse.
time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you know anything about that game called Sniper Elite?
Oh yeah, I've got a few friends that play that.
Yeah. My little brother actually introduced me to that games, and then I got hooked since then. I've been playing it, the one on PS4, Sniper Elite 4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What I like about that game is you have to think about things.
yeah,
You know, you can't just go in there
and then shoot a lot of things.
blazing.
Okay. And then you're an artist too, right?
Say that again.
That's what you told me. So, what do you do, like, for a living besides playing,
I'm actually
playing PC?
a quality tech process engineer for a small company here in Tennessee, and
Mm,
yeah, I basically look at spreadsheets all night.
okay. And then you work
I,
at night,
I
right?
work.
Oh, you work at the
I work.
bank?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Um, how did you guys actually get into ball python? How did you guys get started?
I'll actually let Heather start this
All
one.
right. I guess that was me.
Oh, it was
About five
you.
years. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It's about
it's
five
all
years
your fault.
ago. My partner at the time, he co-owned a snake with one of his old friends.
Mm,
Went over to go the snake, do some husbandry, um, and I'd never liked snakes before. Got a chance to hold him, and I was like,
mm-hmm.
"All right, I know it's a big muscle. Okay, just do it." And it was cool. So that kind of started from there. A couple weeks later, I went to a Repticon and bought my first one, and then
Mm-hmm.
more
So
and
it's
more
always
and
been
more.
ball python then. So did you ever have any other species or no?
Um, my partner, yeah, we had oh, he had a blood red pied-side corn snake
Mm,
and a western hognose.
okay,
But I really don't like colubrids all that much, so I never really got into them. But the ball pythons I could do.
I hear you.
So,
I hear.
Yeah, and
Oh,
then
okay.
so then you flash forward. Well, then I'll tell my side. So I've been catching snakes since I was a little kid, catching
Mm-hmm.
garter snakes, corn snakes, bull snakes, everything out in Colorado.
Right,
I've always wanted to keep and potentially breed at some point, but life choices never put me in that path.
right.
Um, we both actually went to a rock and roll show here in Nashville,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how we
mhm.
and we started dating. And one day she just randomly decided to tell me, she's like, I have a bunch of snakes. Okay. I
And
mean,
you're like, okay, fine.
I'm not mad at that. I mean, I love reptiles and amphibians, so
Mm-hmm.
At the time I had 25 ball
That's not
pythons.
bad. Yeah, but still a lot for like like normal people does. When they hear
yeah.
you have like 25, they just like roll their eyes like right away. It's like, what are you doing?
So so once we started dating,
Mm-hmm.
we made, and she moved up here.
Mm-hmm.
We set the collection up, and we've slowly been building and kind of tweaking the collection, putting projects together,
Okay.
acquiring tools that
Would work better
Like
with
what
our
you
future.
have. Yeah.
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 Yeah. What are some of the projects that you're working on right now, or at least what you guys focus on right now?
Right now, um, the female that's right behind me, she is actually going to. She should be at weight now because I haven't
Mm-hmm.
weighed her recently.
Mm-hmm.
VPI Aganthic stuff.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I've got a couple of versions I want to go with that. Um,
Okay.
I've got another recessive project that's kind of sitting in limbo right now because I'm I'm still going to work on it. Just going to do. I don't know what direction to go with it right now, but that's the rainbow gene.
Okay.
Then she had picked up a Marvel Phantom from Breeder Circle a couple years ago, and
Okay.
we're
Marvel.
pairing that up now.
hmm
And then two other just simple projects is Blue Eye Leucistic Mojave Lesser.
Okay.
And,
When you say that rainbow project, so you have the visual or hat-to-hat breeding?
well, it's going to be that.
hmm
Okay, it's a lot of good potential on that rainbow because as far as I know, it's only like less than five breeders in US that working on like closely on that particular project. There's a lot of things that you can do. I mean, think about like Azantic, rainbow. That thing alone,
Okay.
I mean, you have no idea what you're gonna get, right?
Well, I mean, prime example. That was the one thing that was nice about Tinley was I got
Mm-hmm.
the chance to talk. Carlos got to talk chance to talk to Brad about it,
Okay.
and there's there's some quirks in the gene that
Mm-hmm.
they've several years ahead of me on the project, obviously,
Right.
but it was enough to really amp up the fire for me to really want to invest a lot more into that project.
Okay.
Then I've got obviously we've got a couple of head clowns we're going to prove out. We've got a couple of visual clowns we're growing up.
Okay.
There's a couple other things that once those females get up to size, which will be probably 2 years,
Okay.
we'll play around a little bit with the red gene,
All right, Jin.
and
Yeah.
hmm
then I'm going to do a few things with the blackhead.
Right. Right. Yeah. Even like that blackhead project, like super blackhead rainbow. Can you picture that? That would be really cool.
Oh,
I think
That'd
it's
be
gonna
well,
be
awesome.
like super like really purple and pinkish. I think in theory at least. So.
well, and so that's the quirk with the rainbow gene that makes it kind of awkward is
Mm-hmm.
the the color palette doesn't stay the same.
Yeah.
So,
The only problem, the one that I have, well, not problems, like because like the thing is, when you have like a really unique project, right? And then if the original person who actually bring it, that particular project to the market, and then he himself now really know like what's going on because all I know right now is it attached to like a disco project too. So not many people like know because if he can kind of like isolate it, the that particular gene, and then just have it, that that visual rainbow itself, I think that's gonna attract a lot of people because there's like so many confusion that people think rainbows and candies are the same. No, they're not. They're completely different thing. So
you,
the potential
you
is
know,
all
it's
like still
about
huge, and then like there's so many combos that you can make from that particular project. So
well, it's funny you bring that up because there's another breeder, a large breeder that I talked to about the rainbow project, and he kind of scoffed at it and was like, "Well, it's just going to be another albino gene."
mm, I don't think so. It's completely different because if you ever seen it like in person, it's completely different. And then the way it works, the way when you combine it with different, like morph things like that, it doesn't look the same. I mean, I don't think the hat and the hat ever been like people trying to breed like rainbow to like candy or like albino. It's never been done before. Maybe people still like working on it, but I don't think they're actually compatible. So it's completely different thing.
No,
So
because that's just it. I know when I was talking to Brad, the
yeah.
every albinism line has been bred to it,
Yeah.
except for Trammell, and there was no compatibility.
Right.
So that really opens up a lot of avenues.
Of course.
So yeah, like I said, that's one that I've still got 2 years before the female's up to size, maybe a year and a half,
Okay.
and then I don't know, between now and then, hopefully either Carlos or Brad or is it Ted?
Mm,
No. Ted, Tom, one of the other of the U.S. line
Yeah.
of it. I cannot
Yeah.
remember. So forgive me.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah. I'm really
So
bad with names too. So.
yeah. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how that plays out, and it's one that I think a lot of people aren't giving the gene enough credit.
Yeah,
So
because not many people understand how it works. That's a problem.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's and I think that's where me and you have something similar. Is I like figuring out what makes what tick.
Yeah.
So I want to start getting to the point where I can see how different genes influence it, whether it's a pattern influence, whether it's a color influence.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I've got a massive spreadsheet of potential projects, or
What you want to do,
potential
like the next 10 years?
I want to do with it, but it's also one of those,
Mm-hmm.
there's always that pivot point. Say you put a spot nose to it, and all of a sudden it just throws something crazy,
Yeah.
and then you just kind of have to pivot off that. So
Yeah. I can be wrong, but I think when it comes to like a candy project, I think it's always better to go with another simple recessive instead of like pattern, because if you go with like patterns, it's just gonna be the same. So let's say, for examples, if are going with like spot nose, right? You're just gonna be like spot nose with that rainbow color, unless that's the project that you want to go. But I mean, for me personally, I would go like a different route, because I know for sure that particular project, like patterns, because that's what most people like working on, right? And then there's gonna be a lot of people focus on that particular combos. So I would rather go with a different route that not many people working on it. So you have a different project, which is I think like the particular combo that I mentioned before, even like with Azantic, you never know what you're gonna get. Like Snow Rainbow, that would be like, like insane probably. And
oh yeah,
then,
and I'm don't get me wrong, I do plan on doing another recessive with it. It's just I'm trying to get that base, that foundation in a sense,
right,
gain a little more understanding on what it does do, especially with some of the color change that happens as the snake matures.
right.
And so
Have you seen
yeah,
the Super NG Rainbow? It's pretty cool looking animals. Have you seen it?
is
I'll text
that
you the
by
picture, huh?
I want to say, isn't that that was done in the UK by Herman, right?
No, Herman did something else. I don't think the one that he produced was Super NG. The breeder was actually here in US. I cannot recall the name, but he has the Super NG, and then possibly has Disco in it. But Rainbow. It's pretty cool. It sold like within 48 hours, I think. I can be wrong.
I think that's what you're
Yeah,
talking
I was
about.
looking at it like right away, huh?
But yeah, so that's a base of the projects we're doing. As far as the Marvel project, that's another one.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be fun to see how that plays out, because even talking with Ricardo, there's still
Got it.
a
Yeah.
lot that can be done with it.
Right.
So we've got a few things lined up for this year,
Mm-hmm.
next year's breeding,
Okay.
so on and so forth, to see to see what happens with that. So,
What happened? Oh my goodness. So you guys have like ball pythons, dogs, and then what other animals you guys have? Fish? No?
that's that's
It's
it.
only two.
Hey,
Yeah.
yeah, we got the one lap dog that is our pit bull.
Or
Oh,
60
pitbull.
pound.
Yeah. Pitbulls
Yeah.
are cool. Yeah. Um,
Oh,
the only weird thing is because I'm the only one in the family that likes, like snakes, and then I also like pitbull. So, like everybody is always thinking about like Jesus Christ, you already like snakes and then you like pit bulls too. Can you like any other kind of dogs? I'm like no, I like pit bull.
I actually I showed Heather because I think you posted it on your Instagram page.
Yeah, you saw it
A couple,
right.
yeah,
I
your pet.
love that one. Yeah. I just don't have the time to have like dogs right now. And then like reptiles is probably like one of the best because you only need like, once every 7 days. That's it. You don't need like daily
Yeah.
intention, pretty much because having a dog, you have to like take her out and then like feed him and things like that. So it's just a lot of work for me. So
Oh yeah, and that's it, once we get a different house, we might expand some of the animals that we have.
mm-hmm.
But just given our space right now, we're in a nice, comfortable place.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Let me ask you this because I get a lot of emails sometimes, from like people that I know, and then even like from customers. Um, What do you guys think if so let's say someone new, right? And then they want to get involved to with the hobbies and then what do you guys, based on what you guys have experienced so far, what is the best way to do for like new people? Think about let's say if they don't have nothing, zero animals, zero nothing. What is the best way you guys think for them to start?
Well, being that I'm in the face of the public Monday through Friday, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm known as the snake lady at my bank. I get a lot of parents actually asking, "Hey, my,
Right.
my kids are interested.
Mm.
What's the best way to get into it? We don't
Right.
we don't know if we want, but well, I was like, well, go to the exotic pet expo, and I'll give them the dates, and
Local
I'll tell them
show.
where
Mm-hmm.
it's located, and that's where I point people to start is the exotic pet expos, the repticons, at least to familiarize themselves with the animals, and all of the vendors at
Right.
any of those shows are very learned, and of course they're really excited to introduce any animals to any people and educate them. So that's where
Right.
I point people to.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's a good starting point for it. There's
She really wants to be on camera, apparently.
Hennessy.
She wants to be like really famous.
A blue pity is a needy pity, right?
Mm.
Um, it the first thing I definitely recommend is research.
Right.
Make sure you know what you're getting into.
Right.
That you're going to have overhead costs as far as food,
Yeah.
substrate,
Yeah. Absolutely.
any kind of bills. Now, as far as are they wanting to keep for just pets, then that's an easy one. That find an animal that you love that just speaks to you.
Right.
Now, if any baby girl, um,
Come here, baby.
now if it's claws, now if it's sorry about that.
Sorry.
It's fine.
Um,
It's fine. It's all good. Yeah.
Now, if it's someone that's wanting to get into breeding,
Mm-hmm.
um, I basically consider them cardinal rules is invest in quality females.
Okay.
Get a couple of quality females,
Okay.
but don't skimp on getting a very good quality male that can carry you through your first couple years.
Mm. Right. Right.
Don't invest in projects that A, you can afford,
Right.
B, that you see having some potential for turnaround, because at the end of the day, as a breeder, you are a small business, small to
Right.
medium business.
Right.
that, and make sure you have good equipment. You know,
Okay.
whether you take the time to build the racks themselves,
Mm-hmm.
make sure you have a really good, not sponsored by Inspire Robotics, but a really nice herp stat.
Yeah.
Um, and just understand your husbandry.
Right.
You know, understand where your humidities need to be, where your heat spots need to be, and just do your due diligence.
Right. Right.
You know, I know it's probably been said in a plethora of interviews is,
Mm-hmm.
you know, don't go out buying 100 normals and
Right.
expect to really do anything other than burn holes in your pockets.
Right.
Find 3 or 4 projects that something about it just really speaks to you, whether
Right.
it's the craziness in the pattern, the colors, how it influences other genes, so you have
Mm-hmm.
longevity wise in your projects planned out, and
Right.
then just investing in quality animals.
Right. Well, it's pretty much the same because I've been saying the same thing too, like just like what you guys said, right? Go to the local, shows, and then for me, I usually kind of like, well, not, like mention it to them, like you're not gonna stop until you have maybe like hundreds of them. I mean, you started from like 2 animals, right? And then you end up gonna be like 10, and then 15 and 20. So just be ready from that. And then
Yeah.
I typically, have them start like small. Just have, like 1 or 2, and then I would like them to start from like a pair, so they understand like, okay, so the male is gonna, take like much faster to be like, like really grown out, and then to be the adult and then get ready to breed, right? And then the female is gonna take more, so they have a really basic understanding from theirs. And then I don't want them to go wild and then buy like caging or things like that. Just go with that, like a really small, simple, like fish tank, right? And then go from there. And then throughout that, particular times, because like 1 year, it sounds like a long time, but it goes really fast. So go
Yeah.
to the local show, make friends, don't act like a jackass, right? So just be simple, be nice, and then make friends, right? And then you start from there. You don't have to have like, like a really big facilities or this fancy, like rack system. Just start with like 2 animals, that's it. And then, like while waiting, you can build your kind of like, friends or your kind of like team to grow, right? And then you can make a note like, okay, so I want to go with this particular project or that project or this project, and then you take it from there. If after 1 full year you feel this is something that you want to focus on, this is something that you like to do, because there's a lot of work, like cleaning the, the caging, the rodents, and then buying supplies. Even if you have like 2 animals, there's still a lot of work.
Yeah.
If you feel that's something that you really like to do, not just a hobby like one day wonders and then the next month you get bored, then go
Yeah.
all in, like really deep into the hobby, and then take it from there. Because
You know,
you know, go ahead.
that's
Mhm.
something I have to agree with is, don't don't go buying, 10, 15 animals if you're not 100%,
Sure.
100%, 110% that you're going to see this to the end.
Right.
That you're going to be 60 years old,
Yeah.
sitting on your front porch, sipping a coffee, going, "Man, I did this, 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 and this with this hobby with ball pythons."
Right.
Is like like a lot of things, is you have a lot of those flash in the pan things. You get some
Right.
might see that one snake and think, "Oh wow, I can do this."
Mm-hmm.
Buy a bunch of them and realize,
Right.
"Wow, I just had a whole clutch of slugs,"
Right.
and get frustrated and go away from the hobby.
Right.
Now you've got animals that you're trying to outsource somewhere.
Mm.
So yeah, definitely. Again, I think it's the due diligence thing, and I can't remember what video it was I was watching the other day. Someone had
Mm-hmm.
said something along those lines is,
Mm-hmm.
for every amazing animal you see a breeder post,
Mm-hmm.
what you don't see is the 7, 10,
Mhm.
12, 15 years that got him to that
And
point.
hardships and
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you may see that one animal, but you don't know that that was one out of an entire clutch of eggs that came out looking amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely go in with a level head
Mm-hmm.
and go in with the foresight to know that it's not going to be easy. You have to be patient. You
Of course.
can't stress that enough. You cannot cut corners and find cheap routes to things.
Right.
And then just enjoy it. Enjoy the animals. Enjoy the experience.
Mm.
Build the experience to something you could be happy with at the end of the day. If that's breeding 15 normals a year and that's your thing you want to do,
Yeah.
go do it. But
Right.
if you want to have it as something to do with the family,
Mm-hmm.
or yeah, you do want to breed some mid-range to high quality animals and
Mm-hmm.
use it as a second source of income,
Right.
then do it. That's like a lot of things. That's the biggest thing is do your due diligence. Do not hesitate about pulling the trigger on it, and just, yeah, if you feel it, just do it. There's a couple of animals that I've passed on that
Mm-hmm.
in hindsight, you know, yeah, I could have done, you know, different projects with it, but
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, it wasn't something that just said you're going to lose your mind if you don't pick the snake up.
Right.
I was okay passing up on a few of
Right. Right. Issues. Well, not issue. I don't want to call it the issues. Just one major thing that people lack of is the impatient, right?
Oh yeah,
People seems like just like you said, they don't really understand. Like it takes, like one that particular cool animals like 7 to 8 years easy for like particular breeders. So it's not like you get the pairings and then next year you're gonna hit it or even like next month. It just doesn't work that way. And then one thing that people don't really understand also is that even like me personally, right? When I want to jump into like particular project, especially like the high-end ones, I don't just go all in and then call the breeders and then like work on the project. It takes me at least like a minimum a year or two before I really wanna like go in and then focus on that particular project. And then people don't understand about this process because um, buying the animals, it just me, right? I'm not only looking at the project or like how cool the animal looks like. So I go through like the whole project, like the whole process, like who's behind the project, number one, who's
right.
in it, and then what is the future of the project? Is it just like a one day wonders and then tomorrow it's gonna be gone, or
Mhm.
things that I can work on at least minimum 5 years in the row, right? Um,
Oh yeah.
Also, like what is the potential that I can accomplish based on what I want to bringing into my collection and what I have already have in the collection. So it takes me like 2 3 years. So it's not like when I see something new, I'm just gonna jump into and then buy it because um, you know I'm not in it into just to have it. So like I look cool or things like that. So I can post pictures like, hey, look, I have it. So there's a lot of really long kind of like process before I get into a certain project. For example, so I'm gonna tell you guys like one project that I'm still thinking into getting in, like the whitewash. Have you heard it?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
It's really tricky. I'm still kind of like figuring it out, like how it works, and then who's the breeders, and then can I trust the breeders, or like should I bring it in, and then how does it work? Because I don't wanna just jump and then buy and then spend a lot of money, and then it end up just kind of like not going anywhere. And then
Yeah.
it's already been like 3 years now since I'm kind of like watching the project how it works, like what combo has been produced and things like that. So it's not like when someone said like I have this, like some cool name, whatever, random email.
that
Right.
they produce something that they're not telling anyone about because they don't have that already set up.
Yeah,
So,
you know,
Mm,
because you don't know entirely what is in everybody's rack. And this is just speaking in the United States. This isn't speaking, on a global aspect to, Canada, Europe,
right.
especially Asia.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole world's first thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
even one of the animals I purchased way back in the day was the supposed world's first, but then a
Mm,
couple months later, it wasn't the world's first because there was another of the same animal that was produced at the same time
right.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
I
was
think
still
the
an amazing.
terms, like the terms, like world first is like really been using like really loosely. You know what I mean? Because I'm thinking about it this way, right? Because we have like so many um, different names from the same freaking thing, right? So let's say
Uh,
if I, you know what I mean? So let's say if I just keep it like really simple. Let's say Bumblebee Yellow Belly, right? I can say like Bumblebee Goblin. That's my world first. Even though it's the same freaking thing, Bumblebee Yellow Belly, but Yellow Belly you can call it Goblin or Orange Belly, whatever like that. That's my world first because technically, in theory, it's different. So if you
mhm.
go to like that the world of ball python, there's so many like duplicate, but people don't understand like, oh, that's the world first. No, 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 it's not.
Start factoring,
Yeah,
factoring, like you said, is there could be six animals that have different names because of, call it an ego, call it a pride thing. The breeder saying,
yeah,
hey,
yeah,
this is the world's first, and I'm going to call it this,
yeah.
but it looks like five other animals that have the same genetics in it.
Ingredient, yeah,
So,
yeah. Which is fine. I mean, like I'm not trying to, kind of like bash anybody. I get it because sometimes you need something cool to kind of like promote yourself, right? Or like whatever that you actually doing. I get it. But the problem is, like this misinformation is a lot of kids, right? A lot of people that do not know what they're doing in theory. They argue like back and forth, like, oh no no no, yellow belly and like that's a goblin. They're completely different thing. So us
yeah.
that know what's going on, we look at it, it's kind of like it's like a joke, right? But for them, they don't understand like what's going on. So they're
Well,
arguing about like nothing pretty much. It just kind
well,
of like
um,
why would you do that, So go
well,
ahead.
not just that. You go back to the first question you'd asked
Mhm.
about someone new coming into the hobby
Yeah.
and how they can almost get drowned out because
Mhm.
there may be there may be four different lines for fire. There may be, X amount of lines for this or that, da 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 da.
Mhm.
And for someone new that doesn't want to trudge through all of it,
Yeah.
it can be overwhelming.
Right.
You know, and
Yeah.
thankfully there are more resources out there that
Mhm.
are readily available.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it still can be, daunting and frustrating for someone new coming into the hobby.
Right. Right. Which is, it takes time to really understand it. Like last month, yeah, like one of my customer, his kids just got into this gecko stuff, like those
Okay.
fat tails geckos. There's like so many names on it, like frosty this, frosty that. I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, me myself, like really into ball python, but I get really confused when it comes to like naming these fatal geckos, right? Because there's so many combos, like tangerines, like right.